you trusted your gut, and your neighbor right across the street, who is my cousin, had exactly the same experience where she was told everything was fine. Alice was told everything is fine. And then she suspected and she pursued it. And that's how, thank God, it was discovered.
Yes. No, because, and the medical community, they want to help you. They're amazing. I mean, my team at UCSF, and it does take a team, as Andrea's talked about, they were amazing and really tremendous. But unfortunately, given the situation in this country now with medical care, you have to be a little tenacious. And you kind of have to keep knocking on their doors and saying, but, I don't understand this. And they were very forthcoming, and I was very fortunate and very lucky. But again, the women who helped me through this, people I didn't know before, were tremendous.
And I want to just hasten to point out that, like you, Andrea, Julie has 2 children. She has 2 sons.
Yes.
And they are vigorous young men. And
Thank you.
And you have a husband who supported you 100%.
100%, not even a backward glance, which was tremendous. But I had young children, so I was as aggressive as at the time permitted. They've made huge advances also in staging and treatments, but at the time, this was 8 years ago, and I opted to do the bilateral, I opted to do chemotherapy, and I opted to take a medicine called Arimidex.
Well, all I can tell you is, as Andrea, as I've met you and as I know Julie, you are both as radiant as can be, and it goes to show you that not only can you survive, but you can still have that incredible zest for life and continue for many years.
Thank you.
All
and
right.
One of the things I felt was really important was letting my friends help me. I didn't want to initially. That's a very hard thing, but I let them help me. I let them come to treatments with me, and I let them bring me meals and take care of me, and people want to help.
Well, Julie, I send you my love and my thanks for your call, and give your darling husband my love as well.
I will do that. He's sleeping. Bye-bye, John.
What? Well, tell him he may be sleeping, but I'm delighted to be spending the night with you. All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 8080810. And, you never know who's listening to the program, but that is an important point that Julie made, Andrea. Not only did she follow her instinct, you followed your instinct, and my cousin Alice followed her instinct. And I guess that means you have to confront your fears, don't you?
Yeah, and you really just have to listen to what's going on in your head. In my head, I was saying, you know what, I better get this checked, and I better make sure that it really isn't cancer. And unfortunately, it turned out it was. But I'm glad that I found it. You don't want to have cancer and not find it.
Again, the book is You Are Not Alone. My guest is Andrea Schneider. We'll get as many of your calls in before the top of the hour, but I want to throw in this community reminder one more time in this hour. Mills Peninsula Hospital Foundation is hosting the 10th annual Mills Peninsula Women's Luncheon and Lecture on Monday, May 2nd from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the San Francisco Airport Marriott Hotel in Burlingame. The featured speaker is journalist, entrepreneur, and breast cancer survivor Linda Ellerby. Tickets start at $150. Proceeds go to the Mills Peninsula Hospital Foundation. For more information, won't you please call 650-696-5908 or register online at mills-peninsula.org. And I want to do a special shout-out to Karen, who is the director of the Mills Hospital Foundation development operation and is doing much of the preparation for the event on May 2nd, because Karen is devoted. She does a great job, and she just sent me an email, Andrea, saying if you're here and you want to come to the luncheon, she'd love to have you as her guest.
Well, I'm in San Diego, but we'll have to see what we can do.
All right, and we'll be back in a moment. I am John Rothmann right here on KGO. John Rothmann with you right here on KGO. My guest is a remarkable woman, Andrea Schneider. You Are Not Alone, her book. Let's go to George calling from Victoria, British Columbia. George, welcome to KGO.
John, thank you, and Andrea, thank you for that book. I would like to encourage your readers before cancer occurs in their life to acquire a copy of the book. I know from having been close to the subject that there are too many questions to ask an oncologist all at once when you don't know the subject.
Right.
There is some information I might share. Dr. Calvin Roskilly, about 2 years ago, discovered that podocalixin is what feeds the metastases in breast cancer, and the genome scientists are now looking for a switch to turn it off, and they believe with that will eradicate what we now know as a common disease. So if people watch that, I think the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, which I'm sure Andrea is familiar with, keep people up to date. But I would encourage anyone near the disease or even before it occurs to be aware of all the symptoms and buy the book. It is the best thing from a first-person experience, I think.
George, thank you very much, and I can second that in terms of the book. Absolutely tremendous. Let me go to Debbie, calling from Sacramento, California. Debbie, welcome to KGO.
Hi. How are you?
We're great.
I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. Go right ahead.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 34, and I found the lump myself, but I still had a mammogram and an ultrasound, and the lump did not show up on either one of those. I opted for a lumpectomy and radiation and chemotherapy. I also have a family history of breast cancer. And I just wanted to say that I believe that physical activity is really important, exercise. That's something that I've been really consistent with, and it's been over 16 years for me since my diagnosis. My mother was a 35-year breast cancer survivor, but she passed away from colon cancer, ironically, less than 2 years ago.
Well, all I can tell you is you're a great example, and what you say makes perfect sense to me, and I very much appreciate your call. You know, we only have about a minute left, Andrea, and I want you to be able to give a closing word. We have had an overwhelming response. I'm not surprised. Breast cancer is a serious issue. If you were going to give advice to those who are calling, men and women, by the way, I had Senator Ed Brooke on, and of course, Ed is now 90, and he is a breast cancer survivor. Mm-hmm. Talk about what's your final message on this?
Then you really need to be your own advocate. You need to listen to your own body. You need to trust your instincts. You need to find a doctor that you trust and you can relate to and feel comfortable with. And that's really the best advice I could give someone.
And what do you want people to take away from your book?
Then you could take something negative, like a diagnosis of cancer, and you could still thrive, you could survive, and you can make it positive and turn it into a positive experience.
You know, it was my lucky day, Andrea, when I was standing in line at Disneyland with you and your husband and your kids, and to have a chance to talk with you. And I was so grateful to you for opening up, and not only that, sending me a copy of the book. Again, you are not alone. Life After a Breast Cancer Diagnosis. I recommend this book not only to people who have breast cancer, but people who simply want to understand the issue. If it comes up, if it happens to you or someone you love, reading this book will help to prepare you. And, well, it's an education. Again, the book, You Are Not Alone, available at Amazon.com. Andrea, thank you for taking the time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, John. And like I said, your listeners can contact me directly at www.thriveandsurvive.net.
All right, we will put that up on the website. Have a splendid evening, and again, my thanks and my best to your family.
Thank you, John. And you hadn't told me the story about Sherry until tonight. It was a very touching story.
Well, thank you very much. All right, have a good one.